Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Great to see all of you already jumping in here in the comments. Friday, April 4th, and we are gonna hopefully see history being made tonight. Let's see what we're gonna do with Ovechkin. We got 3 games to go over, and I know all eyes are going to be on the matchup here with the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin, a hattie away from breaking the record, and I definitely want to point out as soon as we start talking about this that the books have actually taken off the prop bet as will Ovi break the record versus Chicago. They have the other teams in front of him, but that Chicago bet no longer there on the book. So hopefully if you believe he's getting the hattie tonight, you are able to get that earlier in the week. It's going to be a great 3 games out there on the ice. Yeah, we probably do have a boring one between the Wild and the Isles, but we'll see if the Isles are able to pull off that upset. So let's break down all of these games. We will start with Ovechkin. You are so welcome, Jo, and you know we're going to look at him for 2+ goals. Yeah, the Wild and the Islanders might be a slower paced game out there, and Hall, I'm ready to win some freaking money. That is for sure. Vinny, I'm glad you made some money in those late games last night. It was great to see the Winnipeg Jets just dominate in that matchup versus Vegas. And for them to be able to do so was so impressive, especially when we looked at Vegas going into that game off of a loss. It's always hard to beat Vegas at home, but especially off of a loss. So congratulations to Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets. Matt, happy Friday to you as well. Oh, you like my Let It Ride shirt. Thank you so much, Larry. I've had this one for a while. So sometimes I hedge, but I like to let it ride. You guys know that. Let's jump into the OV watch, you guys. We're going to look at the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Washington Capitals. The Capitals are a $4 favorite here. Now, the juice is actually ticked down. They were minus 420 about 30 minutes ago. So now minus 400 plus 310. You think Chicago is going to pull off those major upsets, which I just don't see happening. We got a total 6.5, minus 120 to the over. Now I look at this, I do think it's a 5-2 win here for the Washington Capitals. I'm not sure if Chicago will ever pull goaltending. So there's a couple of ways we're going to look at Ovechkin tonight because we know the 1-up goal is too juiced. But I do think you can look at alt puck lines. The regular puck line here for the Washington Capitals laying 1.5 is minus 154. You know we can't do that. Well, I can't do that. If you are comfortable laying the 1.5 and paying that much juice, go for it, but I'm not willing to. So if you're looking at the Capitals laying 2.5 goals, again, you're not getting the value. It's coming in at plus 120. So what's another way we can bet it? I think looking at the props here definitely would be a strong way to go. Spencer Knight or Sonnenblum here. I don't care who's coming in for Chicago. I think either way, we're going to see those goals out of the Washington Capitals. Charlie Lindgren expected in net tonight for the Washington Capitals. He's 3-1 in 4 games versus the Chicago Blackhawks with a 2.01 goals against average and a 937 save percentage. So I'm expecting Charlie Lindgren to really stand tall, but you know, on the big stage here tonight, everyone's going to be watching this. You're going to see Connor Bedard and Teravainen and Bertuzzi really step up in this matchup because all eyes will be on this game tonight. It's going to be interesting because we do see a Chicago team with a really strong kill. So looking at power play points tonight, it might be hard for the Washington Capitals to be able to get them, but we know on that power play, they're going to be feeding that puck to Ovi for his opportunity to get a goal. Now, he got a goal in that last game versus Carolina. It was the only goal of the game, them coming off that 5-1 loss. The Washington Capitals need to get back in the win column, and they're sitting pretty, right? In the Metro, 75 games with 105 points, but still, you can't roll into the playoffs with losses, especially losses against a team like Chicago, who's 8th in the Central, lost 11 of their last 12. They're coming off 4 losses in a row. Wednesday's loss to the Avs. So they played really strong. They stood tall. They went all the way to a shootout, losing that one 3-2. Now, when we look at the schedule ahead of the Washington Capitals, if you don't think Ovi's going to break the record tonight and only gets those 2 goals, he has the Islanders on Sunday. He will be in New York, though. I tell you, I want to see Ovi break this record on home ice. Tonight would be magical. He has the Canes on Thursday. It will be home here versus the Carolina Hurricanes. It's hard to think, though, versus that Isles team, you wouldn't see any goals. So if he only gets 1 tonight versus Chicago, 1 versus the Islanders, and then we could see him get those 2 versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Then he has 2 matchups versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I struggle to see him not scoring in the next couple as well. So I don't think it goes all the way to the end of the season versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's going to be hard to keep Ovi off the scoreboard. He's hungry to break this record. So I'm kind of cautious now with those props looking further out. I do think he has the chance tonight on the Chicago Blackhawks. You're looking at the Hattie coming in at plus 1,900, you guys. The 2+ goals at plus 440. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that. I'm going to put a half a unit on the 2+ goals at plus 440, a half a unit on the Hattie, because I tell you, I freaking want to see it here tonight on home ice. And I do think Ovi wants to see it on home ice as well. His love and dedication for the Washington Capitals and their fans, and, you know, his wife and family are going to be there. They'll be at every single game because that record should be broken soon. But you look at Ovi, and he's just been dominating the season. 39 goals, 27 assists. Back in December, we did see Chicago win this matchup. They won it 3-2. You're looking at Connor Bedard, I do think, steps up. Teravainen as well. He has 56 points, 15 goals, 41 assists. But when we look at who I would look at for the assist for Ovi, it's got to be Dylan Strome. Now, I know a lot of you want to look at Karlsson, and I do like Karlsson out there as well. But looking at Dylan Strome, out of the 39 goals that Ovi has been able to get, 18 of those goals came with an assist by Dylan Strome. So he's the playmaker on the team that has the most assists to Ovi. So his anytime assist tonight coming in at minus 130. It's a little juicy, but could be a parlay piece out there for you guys if you're looking to go that way. Or you could look at him for a couple of assists, and then you're going to get that at like 4-1. I think that's a little dangerous looking at a couple of assists, but not really when we're looking at a 5-2 style win here for the Washington Capitals. You could take Dylan Strome as well for the 2+ points. That definitely is not out of the equation. Now, a couple other ways people want to go with Ovi is the first goal, the first home team goal for Ovechkin coming in at plus 420. I don't hate it, you guys. And then looking at Ovi for the last goal, I'm really cautious of that. The last goal of the game for Ovechkin plus 600, but you have to think, if we have the Washington Capitals up 4-2, 5-2, are we going to see the empty netter coming? I don't think Chicago will pull goaltending if they're down by a couple goals. And I do think the Washington Capitals win this by a couple, or 3, probably more than likely. But again, that 2.5 on the alt puck line just doesn't have as much value as I would like. So I'm all about Ovi. I'm all about the 2+ goals. Only for the 1 goal, it's minus 145, unbettable. But the 2+ goals at plus 440, the hat trick at plus 1,900. You got to sprinkle, you guys. How can we miss out on that if he makes history tonight? I want to have a ticket on it. And then Dylan Strome for the assist. So it's going to be a great matchup. Now, one thing to note here, we've seen the Caps start off slow at home, especially. So they have lost their last 4 first periods versus Central opponents. They've actually lost a bunch of games versus the Central as well. Last 6 is a favorite versus the Central. So if you want to look at Chicago in the first period, I'm not going to get there because I do think this just has to be the Capitals. This game's about Ovi on home ice getting things done. But the Chicago Blackhawks first period plus a half a goal, if you think they're going to come out strong off of that game versus the Avs, it's coming in at minus 112. Now, because I do think we can see the Washington Capitals get 5 goals in this game, I'm going to take a chance on the Capitals over 4.5 goals. It's coming in at plus 120. Also, another way to look at this, if we do see Chicago go up first, then I will be live betting the Washington Capitals on the puck line when it's a good price. Right now on that puck line, I'm not laying minus 154. But then if we see the Caps go down 1-0 as Chicago gets that first goal on the board, then I'll come back in on the Capitals laying 1.5 when it's like coming in at plus 110. That is what I want to see in this one. Nick Dowd as well, someone to look at here for the Washington Capitals. Only 13 goals and 12 assists on the season, so that's a total of 25 points. But he scored at least 1 goal in 3 of the last 4 versus the Chicago Blackhawks. His anytime goal tonight, definitely worth a sprinkle at plus 650. So that's Nick Dowd. It's D-O-W-D is how you spell it. So good way to look in that matchup. Just going to have Ovechkin 3+ goals. You got it at plus 1,200. Yeah, shop those lines. You can get the Hattie at plus 1,900 right now over on FanDuel, Joe. But I do think it's worth, even at plus 1,200, having that ticket on OV. So the Carolina Hurricanes take on the Detroit Red Wings. This game will be going on simultaneously. You know the word I'm trying to say. It's not rolling off the tip of the tongue today, but this game will be on at the same time. That's a much easier way to say it. We got the Carolina Hurricanes almost as a $2 favorite here. The Detroit Red Wings with so much to play for, all of their playoff hopes still alive. The Eastern Conference, everyone is still alive in the Eastern Conference. Yet to be mathematically eliminated, but will the Red Wings be able to get there? They're coming in at plus 158, and I tell you, they better take advantage of the inconsistencies we've seen with Carolina on the road this season if they want a chance to stay in playoff contention. Now, this has a total of 5.5, minus 120 to the over, minus 102 to the under. Looking at your goaltending matchup in this one, Cam Talbot is confirmed here for the Red Wings, and I love this for the Red Wings. You look at Cam Talbot on the season, he's got a .902 save percentage, a 2.92 goals against average versus the Carolina Hurricanes. In his career, he's played 10 games. He's gone 6-4 in those 10 games with a 2.17 goals against average and a .928 save percentage. He has been strong between the pipes versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Chekhov, though, has been elite versus the Red Wings. He's faced them twice in his career. In those 2 games, he's only allowed 1 goal, so that save percentage is .981 and 0.5 goals against average. So he has been fantastic. I do think the Red Wings, if they can get on this power play, have the opportunity of getting the win. Yes, we have an elite kill here for Carolina, but we've seen those inconsistencies on the road. Their kill is still 84.5%, though, but the power play here for the Red Wings, 3rd best overall in the league. They've been struggling to score as of late, but I do think the power play conversion will come tonight. Their 3rd best power play in the league at 28.4%. Now, they are off that tight battle versus the St. Louis Blues, where they lost in OT 2-1. They had every opportunity of winning that. They really played smart hockey. We're seeing the Carolina Hurricanes coming in here off that 5-1 win versus the Capitals at home on Wednesday, which clinched them their playoff spot in doing so. So they won that one 5-1. It was a huge battle of the Metro versus the Capitals in their last game. So you got to wonder what we're going to see coming into this game. They've also got the first night of back-to-back, the Boston Bruins on deck tomorrow. I do not like the situational spot here for the Carolina Hurricanes after clinching that playoff spot against a team that is so freaking hungry to stay in the playoff race. They've got 8 games left on deck. They're sitting 8th in the Atlantic here, the Red Wings, with 75 points in 74 games. Now, they're 4 points behind Montreal for the wild card spot. So they know if Montreal has some mess ups and they can get these wins on the board, they have every opportunity, only 4 points behind. I'm going to look at the Red Wings in the first period to come out of the gate so hot. It is pivotal for this team to get up versus Carolina to start this game if they have any hope of getting the win. So I'll take, and for their confidence and their mental state as well, I'll take the Red Wings first period money line for a sprinkle. That's coming in at plus 140. Now, I do think if they don't win that first period, I want to jump back in on the Red Wings plus 1.5. I do think this is a game that has every opportunity of going to OT. The overtime bet is plus 360, and I'm going to be putting some money on it. I don't think we get the best out of Carolina here because they are on the road, and the Red Wings have every opportunity of winning this in OT or winning it straight up. I do think the overtime bet is in play. So plus 360, I will take my chances on overtime. I'm going to take the first period on the money line for the Red Wings. And then again, if it is Carolina that goes up first, I'll be coming back in on the Red Wings plus 1.5 live betting when we're not having to lay the juice, because currently the juice on the Red Wings plus 1.5 is minus 168. This juice continues to tick up as the morning goes on, but I do think this is a 1-goal game. It has the feeling of either 4-3 or 3-2, right? This is going to come down to what we see out of these goaltenders. I expect Cam Talbot really to lock down in this game. So I more than likely see that 3-2 outcome in OT, but I don't want to bet this total in case we do have a 3-2 game, which gets tied up going 3-3 into overtime. So I will take the overtime bet at plus 360. Now, if you want to look at some player props, I'm cautious with these player props today just because I could see the 3-2 finish in OT. But Seth Jarvis has been great for the Canes. We know he's got 30 goals and 30 assists, so total 60 points. Sebastian Aho has 70 points, 28 goals, and 42 assists. Chesnikov coming in here looking for goal number 20. He's got 26 assists, 19 goals for 45 points. And Taylor Hall, I love what we've seen out of him since joining the Carolina Hurricanes. Sometimes people forget about him and how he's been playing. 17 goals, 22 assists for 39 points. So point number 40 is loading for Taylor Hall. When we look at the Red Wings, Lucas Raymond is leading this team with 73 points. That is 26 goals, 47 assists. Their captain, Dylan Larkin, rolling in here with 82 points, 28 goals, 34 assists. DeBrincat has 62 points for 33 goals and 29 assists. So assist number 30 loading. And then Patrick Kane still looking to load goal number 20 here with 19 goals, 33 assists, and 52 points. Further down the list, if you look at Tarasenko, I do think Tarasenko could be, in fact, impactful in tonight's game. 10 goals, 21 assists for 31 points. So those are your playmakers if you're looking at those player props. Again, I have a hard time taking the player props in this game, and I won't be taking any of them just because, but I definitely want to mention those players that are looking to hit some milestones for sure. Ovi, the 2+ goals. Blake, I love that you're going to roll with Ovi for the 2+ goals. There's so much value in that. Ovechkin has every ability versus the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. Yeah. Nick Dowd nicely on that score sheet as of late. So someone to definitely look at. 13 goals, 12 assists for 25 points. And he scored at least once in 3 of the last 4 versus Chicago. So Hall, definitely someone we want to take there. We'll look at that, Jamie, for 3 games today. I'd like to take puck line overs and money lines. Yeah, if you're looking at a puck line, I would look at the Washington Capitals for sure. The money line, I'd look at the Detroit Red Wings. And then let's get into this last game, and I'll give you another one there. So the Minnesota Wild versus the New York Islanders. Who's going to have this TV on this game on their TV? I'm going to have it in the small corner, probably on the laptop, but it's not going to be that exciting of a game. Now, there's some interesting factors in this one, okay? So some things we have to look at. The Islanders are the favorite at home at minus 122. We have the Minnesota Wild at plus 102. And I want to see maybe Marc-Andre Fleury's getting the start instead of Gustafsson with that line movement, because we were seeing, I'm pretty sure the Wild were the favorite going into this game this morning. So kind of no, we've got Gustafsson and Sorokin confirmed. Now we look at this Islanders team, and they have been absolutely struggling. We got a total 5.5. It's the under is the juice at minus 122. So looking at these two teams, Gustafsson has great numbers versus the Islanders. Sorokin has terrible numbers versus the Minnesota, or actually good numbers versus the Wild, but terrible numbers as of late. His last 4 starts, he's lost you guys, and they've been bad starts out there for him. He's got a .853 save percentage in the last 4 and a 3.76 goals against average. His last 4 games, he needs that bounce back. Can he get it here versus Minnesota? Well, Minnesota, they have a weak kill. Minnesota, offensively, they've had some games where they're able to get these goals on the board, but Kaprizov is on this road trip. Still not seeing confirmation of him playing today. I doubt that he plays, and as long as Kaprizov is off the ice, and yeah, we were seeing the Minnesota Wild kind of like right around minus 100. They were a slight dog going in. but not this big of a dog that we're seeing now coming in at plus 102. Like that 2 point, it's a big difference for me. Minus 122 for the Islanders. I do think Sorokin can have that bounce back game. We're seeing the Wild. They've lost their last three. And it's interesting to see where they slip in the playoff mix. So they're now fifth in the Central, sitting second in that wild card spot in the West. The St. Louis Blues, with another win last night, taking that spot. So St. Louis is sitting here today on a Friday. No game today for them, but they got 91 points in 77 games. Okay. We've got the Wild with a game in hand. That will be tonight's game. They've got 89 points. So if they're able to get the win tonight, they will take back that first spot in the wild card race in the West. So this is back and forth, but you got to remember, Calgary's not mathematically out of this. It's Calgary and Vancouver battling for that last wild card spot. We see the Wild lose again today, and then Calgary continue to win. These two teams will be the teams battling for that last wild card spot, not the St. Louis Blues. I really do feel Calgary still has the opportunity to slip in, and you guys know I'm a Calgary fan. It's going to take a miracle for Calgary to slip into the playoffs in that last wildcard spot, and not Minnesota, but it's not out of the question here for it to be the Blues and Calgary. Now, Vancouver would need even more luck to be able to get it done. It probably will be the Minnesota Wild, but I do think, looking at this matchup today, I don't want to touch the Wild going into this game. I do think the Islanders are the right side. We did see the Wild win the last matchup. Sorokin allowed 5 goals on 32 shots versus them. So they won it 6-3. I really need Sorokin to come back to the goaltender he is. And you look at him overall on the season numbers, he's got a 904 save percentage. He's 2.79 goals against average, going 27, 23, and 6. We need that bounce back out of Sorokin. And if we can have that bounce back out of Sorokin, I do think this first period stays under 1.5 goals. I know the Wild with Matt Boldy have been able to get some goals on the board. We've seen the Islanders get goals on the board in the first period, but I do think this is the best way to take this game instead of the full one. Now, Patrick Roy ripped apart Dunclair after the last game, and now Dunclair's out for personal reasons. So I think Dunclair's just done playing for the season, mentally checked out. It was brutal listening to Patrick Roy ripping him apart. So if you haven't seen that, he called him god awful. That's what he called him, god awful out there on the ice. So now we are seeing Dunclair not hitting the ice tonight. So and it has been a bad season for Dunclair, but nothing like your coach calling you up. 11 points in 44 games. So it definitely hasn't been good. The main playmakers here for the Islanders, though, Bo Horvat rolling in with the most points of any player on this team with 52 points, 25 goals, and 27 assists. Now, to note, he is on a 2-game point streak with 9 of his last 10 games being able to get a point as well. So Bo Horvat has to show up. Anders Lee and Palmieri have to show up as well. Anders Lee coming in here with 50 points on the season, 47 for Palmieri, 23 goals and 24 assists for Palmieri. Anders Lee, 27 and 23. So definitely look at those guys for their points parlayed together. I do think Matt Boldy probably gets on the scoreboard for the Minnesota Wild, and I'd look at Bo Horvat here for the Islanders. But then I'm just going to take the first period under 1.5. I do think we could see this game at the end of the game because it's so meaningful here for the Wild. I think the Islanders push them into a game where it's higher scoring by the end, but that first period we see the lockdown. I just can't trust an under with Sorokin in that. I think he comes out strong at least to start. I know you're booing the Flames. That is for sure. Cappy might play for the Sharks. Got Dylan Larkin and DeBrincat today. Yeah, I don't hate either of those guys for sure. Okay, correct scores. You want a correct score? Which one, Lisa? You're looking for the correct score in? I would look at the correct score in, the more and more I think about it, I really do think it's a 3-2 win for the Red Wings in overtime versus Carolina. And I know that is crazy to take because you look at Carolina, you look at Seth Jarvis, you look at Sebastian Aho, Chesnikov, Taylor Hall. This team can get those goals. It can rack them up we've been seeing them score 4 or more goals in 7 of their last 10. This is a team that absolutely brings it on any given night. But I do think we're going to see Cam Talbot stand on his head. So I think 3-2 win for the Red Wings. That would be my correct score that I would put in for these games. I probably would stay off the rest unless you want to take 5-2. Correct score winner for the Washington Capitals as well. I think that is another solid way to go. I'm going to stay off the Isles and the Wild. Correct score. So let's do the recap, guys. I wish you all the best in all of your bets today. Again, each and every one of you for being here on the daily. I appreciate it so very much. If you can hit that like, hit that retweet button, and then make sure you check out my Cup of Joe. That will be, actually, I've already got an OV Cup of Joe. You guys already know that. So that is Ovechkin for the 2+ goals. But let's get into the recap. We'll break it down, and then those player props at the end. So the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Washington Capitals. I do think this is a 5-2 game here for the Washington Capitals. There's no value on the Caps right now. You can't lay the 1.5. The laying 2.5 on that puck line is only +120. I don't want to risk that much there. I do think Connor Bedard, Bertuzzi, and Teravainen step up. They are on a big stage. Everyone's going to have this game on tonight to see if Ovi can break the record. So definitely going to get a great game out of Chicago. I'd count on them for a couple goals to push us over the total of this one. That total sitting at 6.5 -124 to the over. But I think a better way to go is looking at the Washington Capitals team total. Then we can leave the Chicago Blackhawks out of this. Over 4.5 goals coming in at +120. I expect 5 goals out of them in this one. Now, if you think the Chicago Blackhawks can go up first, you're going to get better value on the Caps, laying the 1.5. So if you like that bet, you can wait on that. Chicago might go up first because we have seen the Capitals lose their last 4 first periods. They've had slow starts at home versus teams, so especially the Central. So I would look here at the Chicago Blackhawks if you like that on that puck line plus half a goal up -112. I'm not going to touch it, but that's definitely a way you could go. Nico Dawes, before we get into Ovi, for the anytime goals coming in at +650. He scored versus Chicago in 3 of the last 4, 13 goals and 12 assists. You could also just look at his point tonight. You're not going to get +650 value on the point over the goal, but you'll still get plus money. So OV for 2+ goals, I will put some money on at +440. OV for the hat trick at +1900. The first goal at +420 for the home team. You can just take first goal home team. You don't have to take the first goal of the game. You can also look at the last goal. It's +600, but I don't see goaltending being pulled in this one. So I'm not going to touch it. Dylan Strome here for the assist. He's had the most assists for OV of anyone on this team. You could also look at Carlson, but Dylan Strome I'll take for the assist at -130. If you want to fire it up to 2+ assists, it's coming in at +420. When we look at the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Red Wings, I do think the Red Wings can get a win in overtime. I'm expecting a 3-2 style game finished in overtime. Give me the overtime bet at +360. Give me the Red Wings in the first period at +140. I think they have to start off this game fast. And then if they started off fast, get a goal quick, I'm going to then come back in on them +1.5 because I do think it's a 1-goal game. So I want to have the +1.5 on that puck line in my pocket as well. It's -158 right now, though. So it's 2 juice right now. I'll take it when we go live. Again, I'm very cautious with player props in this one because I do think 3-2 game. If it goes 4-3 game, it's still, there's so many playmakers on both of these teams that will be looking to step up tonight. No real player must take. Taylor Hall, though, looking for point number 40. Chesnikov looking for goal number 20 for Carolina. So parlaying them together, but you could also parlay Seth Jarvis and Aho for the point because, those 2 players have been elite. For the Red Wings, for the Carolina Hurricanes, when we look at the Red Wings, Lucas Raymond has 73 points, Dylan Larkin 62, Jabrinkat 62. Patrick Kane has goal number 20 loading, and Tarasenko, I think, is a sneaky one tonight. The Minnesota Wild and the Islanders last game on deck. Look for the goaltending duel to start in the first period, but I don't trust it for the full game. Sorokin has been looking miserable out there on the ice. He's been allowing these goals. He's got an 853 save percentage over the last 4, losing all 4 of those. Look for that bounce back in the first period. Give me the first period under 1.5 goals, as both of these goaltenders between Gustafsson and Sorokin stand tall. And then I want to stay off the rest of this game. I do think the Islanders have the opportunity of pulling off the upset win. And I say it's an upset win because the Minnesota Wild are trying to hold on to a wild card spot, sitting second now in the West in that wild card spot. Calgary only Calgary's only how many points behind? 4 points behind. So Calgary 4 points behind. It's going to take a miracle for Calgary to take it, especially when the Wild are only 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues. So battling it out, but it's not impossible. So the Wild need this win, but I think the Isles, after Patrick Roy called out Dunclair, really step up. So the players I would look at tonight for those player props that I like the best, of course, we're going with Ovi for the 2+. I think the 2+ goals is the best bet at +440, but I'm taking the hat trick as well at +1900. I like that. And then Nico Dawes here for the point or the goal at +650. I think that is a great way. And then you know what, you guys, it has to be Bo Horvat here for the goal for the Islanders and Boldy for a goal for the Minnesota Wild. That is all we're going to do. We're seeing Gustafsson confirmed for the Minnesota Wild. So he is confirmed, not Marc-Andre Fleury in net. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. We got through 3 games in 30 minutes. Loaded slate tomorrow on deck. Now, make sure you do join me right at noon Eastern. I am live on the grid at 1 o'clock Eastern. So noon Eastern. No, we got plenty of time. So I'm live on the grid. When am I live on the grid? Man, 3 Eastern, 1 my time. The time zone sometimes gets to my head. So we got plenty of time to go over the show. But join me here at noon Eastern tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be on the grid from 3 to 6 Eastern. So with Scott Wetzel. So I will see you there. But stay tuned for another Cup of Joe. I've got an MLB and NBA Cup of Joe loading for you guys. And then I'm on Game Time Decisions later tonight with Joe Ranieri. That will be 7:47 something Eastern. So you guys, so many times in my head, 7:14 Eastern tonight. I will see you on Game Time Decisions with Joe Ranieri for that last segment in that first half an hour. So you guys, all the best in all your bets. I'll see you then. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies.